it just looks embarrassing.
Going to sink faster than a concrete canoe.
Moana is going to crest so high above the Odyssey.
Yeah, they don't know shit. So I just watched the Odyssey and it was fucking fantastic. The music, the cinematography, from minute one I was transported into this epic tale that felt 3 hours too short. However, having watched this film, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a message the story was trying to tell us. Something so important, it felt like every character was repeating some variation of the same phrase. And after taking the time to reflect and research, I think I've discovered the secret Nolan was trying to tell us. And once you've learned a bit too, your understanding of the Odyssey and life will change forever. But first, a quick summary. Spoilers. The movie follows Odysseus, hero of the Trojan War, a war he single-handedly won through deception by gifting the Trojans a giant wooden horse which turned out to hold his best warriors inside and the destruction of Troy. But the Trojan War isn't really the setting for the secret Nolan is trying to tell us. Okay then, what is the setting? As the film shows you, it's Odysseus' 10-year-long journey home. A trip that's supposed to take 2 to 3 weeks max. And this is where we hear what is the most important phrase in the entire movie, which is Zeus's law, no? That's being you as a host are required to welcome strangers with food, drink, shelter before asking who they are or why they'd come. And this being the key message of the film would make perfect sense. Basically a modification of the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd like them to do unto you. And in our tumultuous times, a message such as this is greatly needed. But there is another message that's often missed because of the over-focus on Zeus's law, a teaching that's so dark it's scary to say out loud. But here goes. Odysseus doesn't want to go home. What? Are you crazy? Of course Odysseus wants to go home. He constantly thinks of his wife and child. He convinces his men to go through terror after terror with the promise to see their homelands again. How could you ever say Odysseus doesn't want to go home? Relax. The best way for me to explain this is with an interactive example. Put up your hand if one of your New Year's resolutions was to be in better shape. I know you see these guns. Good chow. Okay, let me relax. Put up your hand if you thought to yourself, I'll get more sleep tonight. Now, put it down if you found yourself scrolling TikTok at 2 a.m. the following morning. Last one. Put up your hand if you swore, I'll be on time for the next group meetup. Now, put it down if you strolled in 1 hour after everyone else shamelessly. Okay, what's going on here? The secret Nolan is sharing is this. The same script that's controlling a lot of us now is what got Odysseus over 2,000 years ago. We say we want to do this, we want to do that, but often, not because of an external factor, we choose to do something else, something worse, because what we want more is to satisfy a character flaw. So the question becomes, what was Odysseus' character flaw? Odysseus was a fair yet intelligent general who was loved by his men. What issue could possibly mess this up so badly? The same error that afflicts every man, from peasant to king, from the Stone Age to present day. Pride. But Odysseus wasn't prideful, you might say. He was humble. At least he didn't wear some fuck off armor like Agamemnon to show who's boss. And while this may be true to some extent, let's now examine some of Odysseus' actions. Zoom right to the end of the Trojan War. Odysseus' side had won. He is prepared to take the 2 to 3 week journey back home. He can see his boss Agamemnon already on the water taking the safe route. And when he was asked when his ships are going to follow Agamemnon, Odysseus replied with, I've had enough of following that man. choosing to take a relatively unknown route with the "hey, we'll figure something out" mentality. But this isn't even the peak of Odysseus' pride, because the next example is what actually dooms him and his men. Odysseus is about to leave the Cyclops' island after barely escaping with his life, and again he's presented with two options, one safe and one not. The first, run immediately to your boat and sail as fast and as far as possible. But again, Odysseus' pride rears its ugly head. He can't get chased off an island and lets this insult to his manhood go unanswered, can he? So he chooses to shoot an arrow as he's running away at the Cyclops, and he takes intense satisfaction from hearing the ogre's screams of agony. Now you may think the punishment for Odysseus' pride came when the Cyclops, in its rage, killed several of his men, but that was only the start, because after the arrow, after the Cyclops' rampage and murder, he does something even worse. He prays. He prays to his father Poseidon, god of the sea. He prays for vengeance against Odysseus, and with that, the true destruction of Odysseus and his crew begins. Slaughtered by man-eating giants, turned into pigs, tempted by sirens, devoured by sea monsters, and killed by lightning in waves. All of this happens because of Odysseus' pride. Okay then, but what's all this got to do with us now? The message is clear. If you don't deal with the underlying issues going on inside of us, they start cashing in checks that sooner or later we just can't pay. But what do we do then? How do we deal with these problems? Does the movie even provide a solution? Yes, it does. On Calypso's island, Odysseus is stuck, drugged, and sexually assaulted by the nymph Calypso, where it seems he will live the rest of his life as a shell of his former self. But then something happens. Fighting against the influence of the drugs, Odysseus reflects on his past, his mistakes, and what he actually wants for his future. And in accepting his role and responsibility for the evil he's done in the deception of Troy and in harming the Cyclops, Odysseus can humble himself for the first time. For the man who thought he had complete control over his destiny, to now having to lay bare in a shitty raft in the ocean and leave his fate completely out of his hands. And this was the core message of the movie: to see your flaws, confront and accept any responsibility associated, to then become a better person as a result. I've been Yinkos. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.